The Majin Buu arc remains one of the most divisive sagas in Dragon Ball. Fans often find themselves split between loving its chaotic energy and critiquing its interesting narrative choices, yet there's a universal respect for the iconic characters it's brought to the series. Today we're exploring how that saga could have changed if just a few small events happened differently through the lens of Sparking Zero custom battles. If you're new here, this is a series on the channel where I dive into the community's wildest creations to see what happens when we mess with the timeline. If you have your own Sparking Zero custom battle, make sure to drop the code down below or look out for a community post so I could showcase it in a future video. That's enough yapping, let's get into the first one. Our story begins on a familiar Earth, one that spent years suffocating under the reign of the androids. The weight of that world rested entirely on Trunks, who eventually shattered the cycle of terror thanks to his training in the past. We fast forward several years beyond the fall of Cell. Peace has allowed the World Martial Arts Tournament to return, and Trunks decides to test his skills and take time off of fixing destroyed cities to join in the festivities. However, while waiting for his match, the atmosphere shifts. He spots a towering figure with curved horns and pointed ears, Dabra. Even from a distance, the Demon King radiates an ominous heavy ki. In this reality, the King of the Demon Realm has entered the tournament himself, hunting for massive energy signatures required to resurrect the Majin Buu. Fate sees it that these two meet in the very first round. Trunks enters the ring with caution, suppressing his power to keep the arena intact, but Dabra has no such reservations. The Demon King unleashes a wave of carnage, using the chaos to land a heavy sucker punch on the distracted Trunks. He begins to mock the Saiyan, demanding that he shows his true golden form. As the stadium begins to tremble under the mounting pressure, Bulma and a mysterious figure shout from the sidelines, desperate for Trunks to keep his cool. The second half of this match shifts into high gear as Trunks stops holding back and putting them on an equal footing. Dabra, sensing the shift of the battle, plays dirty. He aims a massive blast at the crowded stands, forcing Trunks to intercept the attack and take the full force of the explosion to save the spectators.
You fool! That you could challenge me with such little strength.
With a sinister grin, Dabra retreats, issuing a final ultimatum: find him before he wipes out humanity. Trunks takes to the skies in pursuit, but he isn't alone. From the shadows, the Supreme Kai finally emerges, chasing after the young hero to explain the nightmare that has just been unleashed. Now in this timeline, Shin never had the chance for a formal introduction. The tournament's explosive start forced his hand. Dabra lands in a chain of nearby islands, leveling the civilizations Trunks spent years rebuilding. It's a direct insult to everything the warrior of the future fought for. And with the fate of the world once again hanging by a thread, Trunks is ready to fight with every ounce of power he has. This custom battle introduces a very interesting gimmick, using the timer as a stand-in for Buu's energy meter. The longer the duel with Dabra drags on, the more energy is funneled towards Majin Buu's seal. If the timer hits 0, the monster awakens. Babidi's plan succeeds and the future timeline is effectively erased alongside Trunks. To secure the good ending, you have to throw everything Trunks has at the Demon King. Trunks taps into his full power, unleashing a final desperate assault that seemingly incinerates Dabra where he stands. With the threat neutralized, Trunks returns to the tournament grounds, only to find the event in shambles and cancelled due to the opening round carnage. But that peace is just an illusion. Deep within the rubble of the islands, a battered Dabra clings to life. He isn't finished. Instead, he begins plotting to recruit new subordinates under Babidi's spell to sow enough chaos to finish the job. This is where the creator leaves us for now. Now, it's been years since I played Shin Budokai Another Road, but this scenario captures that exact same future Buu Saga energy. Now that the roster is massive and the lore is expanded, I'm genuinely curious to see where the creator takes this narrative next. This next match drops us right after the fight with Dabra, with Gohan struggling to maintain his composure as Vegeta begins his usual scolding of the young Saiyan. But in the middle of his lecture towards Gohan, a familiar darkness starts to cloud his psyche. The voice of his allies begging him to resist Babidi begin to fade into a dull hum as he loses consciousness. Vegeta awakens within this twisted architecture of his own mind. Here, Babidi's influence has manifested as a ghost from his past, the Saiyan Prince as he was during the Frieza era. This version of Vegeta represents pure evil, a cold man with a disregard of life, fueled by a singular obsession with being the best in the universe. The match offers a fascinating choice. You can surrender to the darkness at any moment, or you can attempt to fight the ghost of Vegeta's past. If you do try and fight, you're in for a long match. This manifestation barely takes damage, serving as a brilliant mechanical showcase of how oppressive Babidi's magic truly is. Throughout the fight, the projection belittles the prince, relentlessly trash-talking the life he's built on planet Earth. If you lose or you choose to give in, the projection shows exactly what Vegeta subconsciously believes has been holding him back. It frames his family, his friends, as a weight that has made him soft, leaving him in the dust of his rival and a shell of his true self. This will lead the player back into the normal flow of the Buu Saga. However, if you manage to win this uphill battle and resist the temptation, Vegeta undergoes a profound realization. He accepts that his bonds and the new family he's made alongside his rivalry with Goku are actually the source of his true strength. This internal victory allows him to shatter Babi's mind control. He awakens in the real world and immediately levels a lethal blast at the wizard, effectively ending the Buu Saga before the monster can even take its first breath. You never truly know what you're going to get with these community creations, but this one was handled perfectly. It's definitely a departure from the grand scale stories we usually see on the channel, but it's just as effective, focusing instead on the internal struggle of overcoming a mental hurdle. The story actually reminds me a bit of they dive into the heart battles from Kingdom Hearts, that same feeling of confronting a darker reflection of yourself within your own psyche. Now this next match brings us to the World Martial Arts Tournament, but in a timeline where the Z Warriors didn't waste any time. Understanding the fate of Earth if Buu was revived, the team neutralized Babi, Dabra, and their subordinates before the Earth was put in danger and before the tournament could be derailed even more. With the threat of Majin Buu extinguished, the events proceed as intended, leading to a final round that fans have dreamed for years. Standing in the ring for the championship are Goku, who has already secured a victory over Vegeta, and Gohan. The younger Saiyan is determined to prove to his father that he's no longer the fledgling warrior who needs to be protected. As the match begins, both power up to Super Saiyan and the air in the arena becomes more dense. Gohan does an incredible job of rising to the occasion and matching Goku's intensity blow for blow. It's a great moment between the two. Goku's genuinely impressed and visibly happy to finally share the stage with his son again. Gohan erupts into Super Saiyan 2 to try and take the victory, and he begins to overwhelm Goku for a bit, effortlessly dodging a Kamehameha and forcing his father to completely reevaluate his strategy. Goku is now watching his son firsthand reignite his martial artist spirit and grow mid-battle. He begins to realize that Gohan is a far more formidable opponent than he anticipated, and decides to reveal the full extent of his training in the other world. He charges directly into Super Saiyan 3 right in the middle of the ring, leaving the spectators in a state of sheer awe and confusion before he delivers the final blow to end the match. As Gohan comes to, he finds his father smiling over him, expressing how proud he is of the progress Gohan has made. Now this custom battle is definitely taking some inspiration from Totally Not Mark's Majin Buu rewrite, which I have a massive appreciation for. I've always loved that story, and it's a scenario that feels entirely plausible if the Z Warriors had simply prioritized Shin's warning from the jump. It does leave us with a question for a fascinating new timeline. If things had ended this way, would Beerus have eventually sought out Goku in the afterlife, or Gohan in the search for the Super Saiyan God? The wasteland on Earth is silent, as Gohan and Vegeta lie defeated. Majin Buu has absorbed Goku, and now the Pink Menace stands as the strongest in this universe. With no one left to challenge him, the entire galaxy is his for the taking. That is, until a new presence descends from the heavens. A Kai who has been watching the chaos on Earth. He's heard stories of the Pink Majin events that occurred in the Demon Realm years ago, but now here he is face to face with them. Buu assumes it's just Shin again, but Zamasu makes his presence known, declaring his mission to wipe out everyone and restart the universe in his image. He charges at Majin Buu, relying entirely on his immortal body to carry him through. Buu is clearly the stronger of the two, but the Kai's martial arts training lets him dance around the Majin's punches, at least until his overconfidence leaves him wide open for a massive punch, leaving Zamasu dazed and gasping for air. Goku Black loses his patience watching from the sidelines and dives into the battle, determined to end the Majin himself. This new fighter is a total anomaly to Buu. He can't believe that this is Goku, as he's already absorbed him, but this just makes Black more angry. He'll start the Zero Mortals plan with Majin Buu. The fight's a challenge, but even with Black's aggressive style, Buu's regeneration and magical abilities are far too much to overcome. Goku Black gets hit with a deadly blow, and while he's recovering, Buu plays his trump card. Remembering the talk of immortality, he uses a piece of his body hidden in the mountain cracks to strike. He absorbs Zamasu, leaving the universe to deal with a new immortal Majin. With Zamasu now part of his being, the only definitive way to put Buu down, I'd imagine, would be a Hakai, but that's easier said than done. Having Piccolo's tactical mind allows him to anticipate that exact threat, and plan counterattacks before a God of Destruction can even make a move. The Time Ring also takes him to a new level of danger. He has the freedom to hop between timelines at will, turning him into a predator that can strike anywhere in history and vanish before anyone can pin him down. This makes him a multiversal threat that could potentially outrun even the gods. The only ones I can actually see getting rid of him would be the Time Patrol. And that's where I'll stop it for today. I've always been a massive fan of the Buu Saga what ifs, mainly because of how moldable that saga can be. Now back when I was a kid playing Tenkaichi 3, I used to spend hours making these scenarios up in my head and trying to play them out. Now that this mode exists, it scratches that same feeling I had back then. And now we get to see what everyone else had thought up as well. It's incredible to see the level of creativity you guys are bringing to this mode. It's time I throw this back to you guys. Which of these custom scenarios do you enjoy the most? More importantly, how are you going to find a way to end Buu's reign? I'd love to hear all your theories and your own ideas down in the comments. Also, keep those codes coming in. I've been recording a massive stockpile of your creations for future videos, and I can't wait to show off what the community has been cooking up. As always, it's been your local overanalyzer Artellings, and I hope you have yourself a damn good one.